Good evening. The hour being after 6:45, I'd like to call the August 25th, 2022 school committee meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we move on to new business, we would like to do a small recognition and moment of silence for two people in our extended Walpole School Committee or community who left us recently. Carolyn Tabor Kiesling, who is a 40-year teacher, a third grade teacher at Fisher, and also Steve Voss, who's a special education van driver for the last 10 years or so, and he's the husband of Kathy Voss. So a moment of silence, please. Thank you. All right, we'll start with new business. Dr. Goff?
Yes, so my school opening and superintendent's report are kind of blended together.
Okay.
A few things, I'll have a couple of things at the end, but we're really excited to welcome back our students and staff for the 2022-2023 school year. We also had this week, we had over 40 new Walpole Public School staff who participated in their week-long orientation. And before I go any further, since Dr. Hahn is instrumental in putting all this together and implementing it, I'm sure he's mighty tired today on the last day. But I'll let him say a few words about the new staff orientation.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I am excited to report on our orientation. We had on pretty much each of the 4 days, approximately 44 new staff, and that is the most we've had in my tenure here and for a long, long time. And they were an awesome group, or they are an awesome group. I thought I'd share just real quick summary of what we do typically at this orientation, besides for some of the stuff that you'd expect, like orientations with our routines, with our student information systems, with our technology. We have staff from across the district who come and present on a number of different topics. So Jill Masterson and John O'Leary come and do a Tier 1 MTSS RTI Believing All Students Can Learn presentation. Bailey Ty and Jacinia Castro present on cultural proficiency and equitable teaching and learning. Tommy Art, Student Resource Officer Tom Hart, comes with a couple different officers and does a comprehensive and full ALICE training. And then in the afternoon, on our third day, Sarah Scales comes in the morning and the afternoon, to do a really comprehensive social-emotional learning and bullying and cyberbullying prevention that all of our new staff have received here for the last 4 years. And then our final day rounds out with a presentation on anti-bias and making sure that our teachers are evaluating their curriculum and their resources to ensure that it represents all students. And Dave Cussey and his crew comes to do a presentation for the Walpole Teachers Association. And then we wrap up with a celebratory luncheon for our new staff, where our central staff and our curriculum leaders come and kind of welcome and celebrate our new staff. So it's a very intense 4 days, but we get great feedback. And at the end of each of the orientations, I always have staff do a brief survey to let us know on what we do well and what we can do better. We got a lot of positive responses, but this is the one that stuck with me that I'll read. I asked new staff to comment on one takeaway from the week, and one new staff member, they're anonymous, so I don't know who, wrote, "Walpole's a district where risk-taking and collaboration is encouraged and supported. We're expected to give 100%, but feel supported with resources and staff to do so." So I think that really summarizes, for me, the week, and I'm grateful not only to the new staff, but to the presenters who come and join me to make sure that it's a rich and great week for everyone involved. So, and I am very tired. Yes, I know. I'm happy it's over, but for the right reasons, I think. So, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Also, school offices, they opened on August 23rd, so families can go into the schools if they have any questions. with principals, assistant principals, secretaries. All staff are going to report back on Monday. We'll have an opening welcome on August 29th. And students in grades 1 through 12, they'll report on Wednesday, August 31st. And then on the following Tuesday, we welcome back our pre-K and K students. So in my some more, the other day I included links to both the start and end times, and then also the school year calendar is in there as well. And principals have also sent emails home to their families, so just make sure you check your emails, and then they're updating their some more web pages as well. In terms of COVID, over the summer, I continued to receive updates from DESE and our health department. Both DESE and DPH issued a joint memo with COVID information for the upcoming school year that aligns with the new CDC guidance that was released probably about a week and a half ago. This upcoming school year, school districts will focus their COVID mitigation strategies towards the vulnerable and the symptomatic individuals, while minimizing the need for more restrictive district-wide COVID policies. So what that means is, other than health offices, there is no longer a masking mandate in schools, so they still need to wear them in the nursing facilities. As always, any individual who wishes to continue to mask, including those who face higher risks from COVID, should be supported in that choice. Masks will also be made available at all schools. Surveillance testing of asymptomatic individuals, contact tracing, and test and stay in schools have also ended. If you remember, that ended at the end of the school year, so there's no change to that. Our schools will have the capacity, though, to test symptomatic students and staff. There are free COVID vaccination clinics for everyone 6 months of age and older, and that's available around the state, and I also included that in the link. And I also included a letter from our head nurse, our new head nurse, Linda Anderson, regarding isolation and quarantine guidelines. And I'll have the principals continue to send those out, and we'll get that on the website in terms of any questions they might have for COVID. And the nurses are capable of answering any questions. It's still, and in that letter, if you test positive, it's still 5 days. That has not changed, so I'm sure that question will come up as well. We're pleased also to announce that Massachusetts will continue to fund free meals for all students, regardless of household income, under the one-year expansion of the federal school lunch program. So that means that this will ensure that students who would not otherwise qualify for free school meals will continue to have access. So that's good news to both lunch and breakfast. Bus routes are posted on the website, WPS website, under Walpole Public Schools bus transportation. You can Google that too. I just want to thank Kim Poirier, our transportation coordinator, for getting that up and getting that online. The hiring process has been extremely busy, as you can tell. We've been very fortunate, and we're excited about the talented educators we've been able to hire. Thanks to school committee for allowing us to kind of get on board of that early, get those posted pending the town approval, so thanks for that. And so we were able to really get on board and feel like we've got the best of the best coming to Walpole. We are in need, though, of a few positions, so educational support professionals, ESPs, and teacher aides, like K-aides, a couple of K-aides, and then always recess aides. We can always use substitutes, too. So that's, just look at the HR website. And last, but certainly not least, due to the perseverance and sustainable, I think it was a 7-year plan, the incoming class of kindergartners will be the first non-tuition class. So that is something to be celebrated. So, thank you. Opening. I'll get back to the list for superintendent. There's just a couple things.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Goff? Mr. Breen first.
How many kindergartners do we have? Do we know?
I know the total. Do you want me to? I can look it up.
Look it up for you.
Yeah. I'll get the total for you. I'm going to give you the total, the full exact total enrollment at the next one when we do the opening of school report. Right now, we're at, for our total, about 38,816. But we'll get some more, believe it or not, to Monday.
It looks like just in our estimates, just under 300,
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
275, but that shifts the most out of all of them, so. we
Yeah.
might have more that come.
Mrs. Gallivan?
Just a comment and a question. The fact that you are close to full staffed is
Amazing.
a great job. So congratulations on that, because the efforts are paying off. So that's great. My question is about COVID vaccines, because we require vaccines for other things, like for mumps, measles, rubella, but we're not requiring vaccines yet. I understand that that might be because the vaccine is still in the emergency stage. Are you hearing
Yeah, I'm
about a
not-
point where we are gonna say, just like the other vaccines you're
Yeah,
required?
good question. No, at this time, there's no mandatory. So, I'll continue to meet with our health department.
Yeah,
and
my
to
guess
find
is
out.
at some point, the COVID vaccine will get treated like the other required vaccines, but I think it's a technicality, that it would be too soon to require.
Correct. So they're not mandated.
Okay, thank you. Nice job, though.
Other questions? No, thank you for the update. I agree. I think it's pretty amazing that we're as staffed up as we are, because we hear every day that not everybody is.
Yeah, well, I have to thank Dr. Hahn and also John Quealy, because what we do is as soon as the principals call their recommendations and have their interviews and pick their top candidate, they email us or send us their personnel requests, and we really do our best to get them in immediately after, and hire them and get them to sign on the dotted line,
Yeah.
so we're really excited.
Shout out to Lori Sylvia, too,
And
who has been
yes.
working weekends to get the paperwork done
Yes.
and everyone in.
Yeah, to get them hired.
Good stuff. Right, the next order of business is the student, oh, sorry, Sean, I see.
No, I mean, that's okay, we can move on, or whatever. I did have a question about the COVID stuff and was wondering if you could just articulate a little more some of the must-dos and some of the recommended to-dos, because I think these outline some differences from the last year. While most of this stuff remains in place, there are things that have been loosened.
Sure. So we start the way we ended, I think it was May 22nd when they changed it. So masks are optional, except in the health department. There's no test and stay. That is gone. There's no contact tracing. If we find that there is, multiple cases in one classroom, that's when the nurses will contact the Board of Health. The Board of Health will contact DPH, and then they'll give us our instructions. So we won't be doing test and stay. The one thing that will stay the same is that if a student or a staff is symptomatic, they can come down to the health office and get tested, so that will stay. And the other thing that doesn't change is that when a student is positive, test positive, it's five days out. And that will be in the letter. And then they have to test, they have to make sure that they're negative before they come back to school. Obviously, if they're positive, they won't be able to come back, and then they'll have to, you have to stay home. And then they'll return on day 10 or day 11.
Just a question about the symptomatic testing. Is that like a requirement, like if the nurse observes the symptoms of the student, part of their job is going to be to give the COVID test?
They'll call the parent and
Okay.
talk to the parent and
That's
say,
great.
so-and-so, look at this, has a temperature of X. I've got the test here, would you like me to test them? But they need to be fever-free before the next day. So
Right. And the fever-free thing, that's just general practice. I mean, that's been around, I think, as long as I've
Forever.
been parenting here. That's no change.
No change, no change.
That's good. And just a quick question about the tests. Is that a plan that we have in place all year to continue to stock tests?
Yeah, we have plenty, and we'll continue to have plenty, because they expire after so long. But the state's not funding them anymore. We have to make sure we purchase them. So Mike Frischett and I are working together with the nurses to make sure that we have enough masks and test kits. And parents can still, if their child's not feeling well, they can ask the nurse to test if they're unable to access it from home.
Okay.
So we'll have plenty for them.
That's good. And we feel good about the funds, not that it's a lot, but compared to other
Mr.
years.
Fisher over there is
That's what
pretty
ESSER funding
confident.
is for. So we have some grant funding from the federal government that we can
Okay.
use.
Yeah, but we are responsible for, each district is responsible for ordering their own.
Any other questions? Thank you. All right, Mr. Frisha, Student Activity Fund update.
Okay, so included in your packet is a list of student activity fund balances for each of our 7 schools. These funds or these accounts are not appropriated tax dollars. These are monies that are collected from parents and families whose children are participating in things such as club activities or field trips. They collect money for assignment notebooks in some of the schools. So it's a variety of things that the schools run that's outside of the appropriated budget. These accounts are overseen by the principals with the oversight as well by the business office. They're also audited on a 3-year cycle, so they're watched very closely because this is parents and families funding. So it is audited every 3 years, and they take a very close look and do a separate audit just for student activity accounts. So in the packet is a list of each of the clubs and the balances in each of those clubs in each of our schools. I anticipated that as you go through the list, you might wonder with the film club at the high school has a large balance. They do collect a lot of revenue from ticket receipts. And they use those funds, this is run by Mike Allen, and they use those funds to buy equipment every year, whether that be for the film club. Sometimes they'll even supplement some of the other clubs, which is within the parameters of what a student activity account can be, so they can supplement other funds, and that's, again, the principal's discretion. I would draw your attention to the Johnson Middle School total balance. At the bottom is $42,512. A lot of those funds are within the camp trips. There's a lot of scholarship money there that's available to supplement those field trips. And I would highlight that last year's report had $58,000 on it, so they're down to 42. It's a nice progression over the years to try to whittle that balance down and manage these within a reasonable. We don't want to accumulate too much money, so we're working with Johnson in particular to bring that balance down. But I feel that all the other accounts are well within reason. The auditors haven't highlighted anything in particular that's concerning. And we have a complex manual that's designed to oversee these accounts and provide the guidance that somebody would need to manage these. The secretaries in each school do the accounting and bookkeeping side of the work, overseen obviously by the principal, who gives them the authorization to do the transfers of money and the intake and deposits of money. Again, it comes through the business office. So that's pretty much a high level. At the beginning of every year, I report out to you guys. I'm sure you don't remember from last year, but every year we do it. And it's just part of the process of being transparent with these accounts. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Buckley?
Through you, Madam Chair, I have a question about the $1.09 account at Boynton Elementary School. I'm kidding, of course, but I guess a friend of ours, a couple of us on the committee recently passed, and she donated, she asked people to donate money for a trail up access to Willett Pond. And I was just wondering, because I was talking with some folks, how do we publicize people's ability to, say, give to one of these funds? Like, if, let's say you're someone who wants to give a memorial donation or give a donation to one of these things, and you may be someone who's not directly facing the school department, is there like a drop-down menu somewhere we could maybe create on the website to say, hey, you want to donate to music at Boynton or something like that, or perhaps highlight areas where, I mean, I know we have some really wonderful programs that have a really good cash flow, but there perhaps are some that are less so. So if someone sort of came to the business office and said, hey, I want to give $500 to the public schools, can you point to a program? Like, how would they do that?
We would accommodate them, number one.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That's what we do.
I expect nothing less.
Number two is they wouldn't be deposited into these accounts. These are student activity accounts that are for clubs and activities like that, and generally money's paid by the families and then it's paid out. In a perfect world, it would be net zero. What you're referring to is what a gift account is set up for. So if somebody wanted to make a donation for trails at, let's say Elm Street, maybe behind, they wanted to sponsor that type of donation, they should reach out to the individual school and let them know that I wish to make a donation to a club. This is what I'm thinking, and the principal can work on earmarking those funds within their gift account, which is it's similar that it has a lot of line items, and each donation can be earmarked within those accounts. So that would be the appropriate place to make a donation.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, the next item is the first reading of the wellness policy.
Yeah, so attached, you'll have a draft. This is a first reading. This policy, I just have some information from our head nurse, that the policy was updated on 5/21/21. It was delayed because of, guess what? COVID. So now they're bringing it to you to make sure that it is for approval. All changes are results of the updates to the act relative to the school nutrition law. So you can, read through it, and if you have any questions, you can either email me, and I'm happy to forward to Linda Anderson and Maria Hall, or you're more than happy to email them yourselves, or you can email Kristen, and Kristen can let them know to get your questions answered. They're also working on filling some of the slots for the Wellness Committee, to get that back going in person. So I know Maria and Linda are in there, and then we usually have central office. There's an elementary principal, a middle school principal, I believe Steve Morgan was on that. There's a couple of nurses on there. We've got Dave Wall for health and PE. There's usually a classroom teacher, a parent, student. I think Emily Botello was on there. Trish Fisher from the Board of Health is on there. We usually have a community rep, and then a school committee member. So we'll talk about that when we get to subcommittees.
Excellent, thank you. Any immediate questions? Thank you. Okay, turning to subcommittee assignments. The list is in the packets. If y'all want to take a look and let me know if there are any changes. I would also like to make a plea for a school committee representative for Walpole Media, which is not on this list. We do appoint someone. It can be from the committee or not. I have been on it. It's a great committee. Not as great as this one, but the meetings are a lot shorter.
So they can just let you know if there's
Just
any
let
changes.
me know if there-
and
yeah,
then
let me know if there are any
Mary will
changes.
update it.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you. Dr. Goff?
Yeah, the only thing.
More reports?
Just one thing, I have to say, give a plug for the annual Walpole Road Race on September 5th. The Walpole Cross Country and Track Boosters will be hosting the 49th annual Walpole Road Race at Walpole High School. It's one of the oldest races in the area. It's 1 year younger than Falmouth. And the event includes a youth mile, a 5K, and a 10K. So you can register online at www.walpoleroadrace.org. So registration is still open. So am I gonna see you there, Sean? I have to.
Not this year. I have other family members that are going to be.
All right, good, all right, all
Um,
right. I
You
still
beat me
have-
so bad last year. My face again.
I don't know about this year. We'll see. I haven't registered yet, but I told Connor I'm gonna register and I'll show up. I don't know. I was
I
due
heard
the
somebody
7th.
else who was afraid of her.
Oh, yeah?
I forget who it was.
There was a
but-
few.
I'm a little competitive, just a little. Thank you.
Excellent. That takes us to old business, middle school building report.
So two things, I guess, to be attentive to. We've been value engineering. I've learned a new word the last few months. Trying to keep the building on budget. I don't think we've cut to the bone yet, which is good. So people, please pay attention to that. There's information on both the town and school website, including links to all of our school building meetings. And the second thing is traffic patterns for bird. So if you're a bird parent, pay attention to how to come and go, because that's changed.
Ed Connor, the principal at Bird, has been sending out emails to families. He sent another one out today of all the traffic patterns. What we did is I kind of condensed that for the community, and we're gonna put that, the traffic pattern is on the website, as you
Right.
mentioned, Mark. But I thought a narrative might be helpful too, because you look at all those arrows and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, help me. So if they're gonna put that, BJ Burke will put that up there as well, so that'll be good. And I know they had sneak peek, and actually, this morning, when they were going to have sneak peek, I had a call from Ed Connor that they had shut down 27 and had to detour, but they allowed the families to go by. So I think Ed might have been standing out there with a sign saying sneak peek and you can go through. So he's doing yeoman's work in terms of communication and traffic patterns and all that fun stuff. There's a weekly meeting every Wednesday at the construction site
Yep.
that he's attending.
Ask a question about
Yes.
So I know in the value engineering process ultimately has to come to a halt when we reach a certain threshold, right? It's like 90%.
Right.
Can you just like briefly describe exactly what that threshold means and when we're anticipated to hit it? So just for community's
Is the
benefit.
90% in November? Is that correct?
November, December.
It's
they
in
said.
November, I believe.
Okay.
So we've had 2 rounds of value engineering to the tune of many millions of dollars. We'll have to wait and see. You know, it's a big what if, I think, when that date comes in terms of what so-called near final bids come in at. So I sense a tone of optimism from the architects that it's not gonna be a fatal date, so to speak, for the project, that we should be able to manage it.
That's good to hear, and I think good for the community to understand that we're approaching a time at which everything's gonna be kind of locked in, and beyond that, there's not gonna be any massive surprises in terms of impacts to the project or to the budget after,
Right.
very significant changes, so.
Right.
I think we all want that date to get here sooner rather than later, right? So, thank you.
Other questions? No? Okay, we'll move on to the high school building report.
There's not actually a ton to report at the moment. A lot of work went in and through like the end of June, and Composite to Pay, we've just been finalizing some different options to present that would kind of show what is possible. And I think we'll have the opportunity to see some of those and discuss them in the near future.
Yeah, I'm looking forward, we're having a workshop in September where they're going to present, and then that'll give us some opportunities for discussion, allow us to ask questions, and then really talk about what our options are for next steps, for moving forward with the project, with the renovation.
Great. Thank you.
I forgot to just mention that in your packets are the Walpole High School class of 2022 college acceptance list. It's pretty impressive to see where our students are going, so that's
Very
awesome.
long. It's great. Very long. Good stuff. Subcommittee activity. Anything to report?
You know what? Can I just wanted to point out, we're going to capital budget next week.
Oh, right,
So it's
yes.
not necessarily a subcommittee, but we're on we're bringing our capital budget requests to the committee on Tuesday night virtually, correct?
Yes.
But then we also will attend Wednesday night in person
Correct.
of next week, because capital budget is going to be voting on their recommendations on Wednesday night. And on Thursday night of next week, just to make it a full week, capital budget will be presenting to FinCom. So those are 3 nights that are important to us in terms of capital budget projects.
We're seeing a lot of each other, Mike, next week, Tuesday night, Wednesday
Starting
night,
earlier,
Thursday
isn't
night.
it?
Yep.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
That brings us to citizens' comments. Seeing no citizens. Move on to approval of the warrants, donations, and minutes. Sean, they
Yeah.
take the warrants.
I would. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following expense warrants for the amounts listed in your packet. Those are 223004, 223005, 223006, and 223007.
Second.
Motion by Sean, second by Carrie. All those in favor? 600.
I'd also like to make a motion to approve the following payroll warrant for the amount listed in your packet. That's 2303PA.
Second.
A motion by Sean, second by Carrie. All those in favor? 600. No gifts this week. Okay, somebody'd like to take the approval of the minutes?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the following meeting minutes from the July 27th school committee workshop meeting.
Second.
A motion by Carrie, second by Bill. All those in favor? Approved 600. And there is a need to go into executive session for the purpose of union and non-union negotiating strategies.
Through you, Madam Chair, I make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to the Massachusetts Open Meeting Law, Section 3, for the purpose of union and non-union negotiation strategies, a open meeting having a detrimental effect on the committee's bargaining position, the chair having so declared, and that we may return to open session solely for the purposes of adjournment.
Second.
Second, poll the committee.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye, Nancy.
Yes.
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 600. Thank you.